Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my Batman Arkham City Hard Plus difficulty video walkthrough. This is taking out jammers, and this is an interesting section of the game because we come into the museum, we start fighting off some of Penguin's henchmen, we smash through a window because there's no door, which makes no sense to me, but you know, he's Batman, he does what he wants. And then you come over to this device and you try and hack it, but it turns out you can't hack when somebody's jamming you. And this then is a massive tangent where we go running all around Gotham City destroying these machines that are jamming the signal, and a couple of them are filled with enemies to fight, a couple of them are filled with enemies with guns, and it's an interesting mix of combat and stealth. It is also probably the first challenging part of the game, because the guys with the guns kill you so fast on hard, it isn't even funny. And the fact that there's not an achievement for beating this game on hard pisses me off to no end. Because it means two things. You play hard, you go through the game on its most challenging setting and you get absolutely no reward for doing it. And B, because you don't have to play the game on hard, there's going to be so many people playing it on easy, and thus this guide will not be needed, not be viewed, and all the effort that goes into it will be ultimately vain. But I don't mind that because I enjoy doing it, and I know people will watch because I've got a pretty awesome following right now. So, the first thing you'll notice here is there's that green box, and there's an awful noise that plays every time anybody goes near it, and what it's doing is it's telling you that some guy's about to get a gun. Luckily enough, the combat guys, when they get guns, are nowhere near as lethal as the general dudes with guns. They'll stand about, they'll mess with it, they'll be like, yo, I've got a gun, and then they'll shoot you. And then they'll wait, they'll pick their ass, they'll comb their hair, they'll check the gun again, they'll shout at you once more, and then they'll shoot you. So luckily enough, they're not the biggest of threat, but they hurt a lot, so you want to take them down as quick as possible. If somebody does open the case and bring a gun out and he drops it, other people can pick it up, which can be cool and gay at the same time. It's cool because you can hit them in an animation of picking it up. It's gay because they can shoot you once they're finished doing all the daily routines. So just be aware of it. And each jammer, you need to smash all 3 planes of glass on it. If you don't, it won't go down, which is kind of redundant if you ask me. It's the rule of threes that we've had ever since Mario. But I'm not going to say any more on that topic because it's fucking dull. So the next one you're going to fly towards is going to have a bunch of dudes with guns. This one is much harder. So the first thing I do is I glide into that dude, I take him down, and both his friends come, and it gets a bit messy, I'm not even going to lie. So there's this guy here who I try and take down, it doesn't work, so I end up throwing a smoke grenade. Then I go slap happy with my gun, I see the takedown opportunity, I take it, and now I'm behind this little air conditioning vent, and he hasn't a clue where I am, which is kind of cool. So I go up on the corner hoping he's going to come back this way and I can take him down. That does not work, so I take him down anyway. Knee him in the face, and then I get to beat up his friend after he shoots me in the chest. So, it doesn't always happen the way Batman wants it to, but as long as you get the job done, it doesn't matter. There's the second jammer. Now there's one left. The last one is the most difficult one, and you're entering one of the most difficult areas of the game, which is the underground areas. Every time you enter the train yard rooms that are underground, it's going to be a challenging room because they just seem to stack it so full with challenging environments. It's really, really taxing on your ability to play the game. So hopefully you'll have the luck that I do, because I do make a lot of these rooms look a hell of a lot easier than they are, because the first time through I got my ass kicked so much. I got a system down that worked. And that's one thing you've always got to bear in mind when you watch this. Just because I do it, just because it looks easy, does not mean that I had an easy time recording it, because that is almost never the case. I wish it was. I wish I was this massive god to gaming, but I'm like everybody else. I fuck up, I make mistakes, and I get screwed, and you just don't see that. That's the difference. But I should really talk about the life on this game, because it's kind of weird. I wasn't the biggest fan of the HUD in the old game, where you had the Batman symbol and the line, the semicircle that followed it for your life. On this, they've gone for upper left, and it's a bunch of bars, which is even more eclectic and weird. Be careful on this area, there's a lot of guys with guns. You need to get into the underground, and it can be a little bit tricky, but I kind of look my way into it. So if you follow what I do, and you make sure nobody's around you, you should get there just fine. But just be careful, there's a gun guy on this corner. There he is. Thank God for smoke bombs. Don't stay around, hop into the subway tunnels. How I missed dying there, I don't know, but I got real lucky. And then continue onwards. So the life on this game is the exact same as it was it was on the previous one. Every time you get bats, you will both gain a little bit of experience and a little bit of life. The more experience you get, the more life you get. So for instance, if you have a massive grueling fight but you hit a 70 combo, you will probably get very close to being fully healed. Because the more bats, the more healing. Every opportunity that gets you experience gets you life. So hitting the balloons, pulling the gargoyle faces off, doing the Riddler trophies, all that kind of stuff. If you're ever low on life and you need a quick fix, do some of those. I will never do any of those in this guide because when I get low life, I take it until I die and then I reload from the checkpoint, and thanks to the joy of editing, you don't see it. But if you're ever in that situation where you can't do something and you want a little bit more life, just do some side quests, do some miscellaneous tasks, and it will make it much easier for you. You don't have to do what I'm doing now. I did this because I hate people with guns, as I've just witnessed up there when I got my ass kicked. But this is a long ass level. This is a really long level. So you're going to have to get used to taking on awkward situations, because this is when shit starts to get real interesting. Completely ignore the pink Riddler trophies there for Catwoman. You can't get them as Batman, and even if you try, it shocks you and Riddler mocks you, which is never a fun experience. And that's actually an interesting topic that I could segue onto, because I haven't spoke about Catwoman at all. I hate Catwoman. I think she's fucking garbage. She's got far too little life, and I actually didn't think her parts of the campaign were too bad until I got to the post-game section on hard. And taking down Two-Face with endlessly spawning enemies is the single gayest thing in this game, and I didn't do it. I gave up on it. I said fuck it, and I deleted the DLC off my hard drive. It was just... I don't like how she moves. I don't like how weak she is. The combat's fine because she's fast. She's just like Batman, but she does not have the equipment to take people down. If there's people with guns, you don't have the tools to do it. It's ridiculous. You've got to play super tentative, and on hard, they're super crazy and super good, and you actually share the same upgrades as Batman. So if you don't upgrade Catwoman at all with the upgrade points you earn with Batman, she's going to be weak as balls. So when you're right at the end of the game and you've got a Catwoman with no fucking upgrade points on, things get really hard. And I ended up playing the entire game on hard, not upgrading Catwoman once, because I didn't even realise you could. And taking on Two-Face with no upgrades on hard as fucking Catwoman, Gears 3's last boss is easier than that shit. And I say that with full knowledge of how gay that boss can be. It just sucks. It blows. It really does. And it's a shame too, because it could have been something interesting. It could have been something unique, but it was just crap. Just really bad. And that's one thing I really like about this game. All the bosses on it, you can actually find strategies on how to beat them. They didn't turn into just, you know, silly clusterfuck nonsense like Deus Ex did. There's actually patterns. For instance, every time a boss goes big and starts firing projectiles at you, if you time your roll, you can dodge them and you can continue to attack. And it enables for fun and challenging boss fights, even though they're not that difficult. But I really appreciated that, and then Two-Face came along and it was just garbage. It wasn't even a proper boss. Really disappointed me. And that's why I didn't include it in my guide, because I didn't enjoy it that much at all. I thought it was the worst parts of the game, and the game is a better game without it, in my opinion, because all Catwoman does is slow the story down, and she adds nothing. She adds absolutely nothing. There's probably a lot of people that will disagree. It's just my feelings on it. I really didn't like her. And also, she makes the game fuck up, which I don't know if anybody's had this, but I get it all the time. For some reason, Arkham City does not like spinning in my disc tray. There's times where my Xbox just doesn't find the game. When it does find the game, I turn it on, it says my DLC is damaged, must re-download, which I've done twice, and it still fucking does it. And then, when I launch the game after it redirects you to the dashboard, it says disc is unreadable, when the disc is flawless. The disc is like a baby's ass, there's not a scratch on it. It's really weird. And all you have to do to fix it for me is turn it off, turn it back on, and it'll work. But all because of this stupid fucking DLC they've included in it, so that people who buy pre-owned games don't have an incentive to purchase Batman, and they get it day one. It's pathetic. Especially when I was listening to the Giant Bombcast, and they were mentioning how, I think it's GameStop in America, actually pay the developer to send them codes that they can copy and print and put in pre-owned games. So the very incentive that you're paying that, you know, day one purchase price for is completely and utterly contradicted by the fact that GameStop are paying the developer to just reprint. for these people that buy the game for our fucking price. It's horrific, and that's just insulting. But it's consumerism at its heart. It's all about pushing a profit. It's all about corporate greed, and we buy into it because we're just dudes trying to play games. But this is another interesting fight because there's one guy with an... Oh no, is that two? There's two guys with knives, and the rest of them are just chilling out. The only reason this is even remotely challenging is because it's kind of crowded, and the camera is pretty good for most of it, but occasionally it's a pain in the ass. So just do your Batman thing, counter punch, counter, kick some ass, break some arms, punch some dudes in the face, and try not to get punched too much. And I know it sounds obvious, but if you get punched enough, you will quit. And I've had some really funny deaths on this game, and I mean really funny. There's a fight that I believe is probably the hardest fight in the game, where there's these two railway trains from a funhouse that are whizzing past you. And I was in the animation of breaking somebody's arm, and I died during the animation because I'd got hit the millisecond I entered it. I'd taken damage from a train. And Batman's perfectly fine, he didn't fall over, he was twisting this guy around, pulling his arm, and the screen just went black. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened then? Turns out I died. So now that we've got rid of the jammers, we can now hack the door, get the password, and we can move on into the museum. And the museum itself is pretty long. You're going to be finding Penguin, you're going to be finding Mr. Freeze, you're going to be finding a device to disable Penguin's weapon that he took from Mr. Freeze, and all this kind of shit. There's all sorts of kicking off in this place, and there's going to be some light fighting and some light stealthing, and a really bizarre ice room with a shark, which makes no sense. I don't question it anymore, I just kind of accept it. And there's going to be 3 dudes kicking my ass in this first room for some reason. And this is a good example of fighting on Arkham. Sometimes you just get sloppy and you get your ass kicked and you don't even know why. It's really funny. And especially on hard, because the lack of the counter symbol, you just get lazy. Sometimes you're waiting for that symbol to pop and it never does, and you just get punched. It's really funny. But as soon as you get your combos flowing, that's generally when you start doing the most damage, and it's business as usual. So finish taking them out, progress forward. You've got to wait to talk to this guy. I'm not the biggest fan of talking to the dudes for ages, so I skip all the dialogue. This could be the area where I look at my upgrades and I realise there's nothing I can upgrade. Oh no, there is, thank God. There's one more before you get faced with that bullshit level up sign. But this is all pretty simple. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be entering a room with ice, which you have to crouch walk across or walk very slowly, or a shark kills you. You'll also be using your back claw to get the raft to move where you want it to move, and you have to use a batarang to lower the raft. It's that simple. And if we've got any Metal Gear Solid fans in the house who remember guiding the Nikita missile launcher to the power circuits, there's also a little bit of that in this game where you use the controllable batarang. And it controls pretty well, all considered. It could control worse. There's a couple of areas where it's a massive pain in the ass, but as soon as you get used to it, it's not too bad. It could have been much worse. A blessing in disguise, I call it. And everything I've just mentioned with the ice and with the shark and that is all going to be on the next video, so it's kind of redundant me mentioning it. But this pit in here is a massive fight that's coming up in the next one, so I will see you at that. Thanks for watching, and you take care now.